Ty's eyes snap open again, drenched in sweat, as the clock ticks loudly in the silent room. The shadows in the corner of his bedroom seem bigger tonight, twisting with every flicker of the lamp. Something is coming back, something he thought he had left behind. These nightmares aren't just dreams. They are memories that refuse to fade, and they are breaking through his peace, one restless night at a time. Even in the calm of Heartland's ranch, Ty can't escape what haunts him, and tonight, the darkness feels closer than ever. Ty's mornings no longer start with the quiet rhythm of the ranch. The sun rises over Heartland, painting the fields in gold, but inside, his mind is already heavy. The stable doors creak as he walks past, but the usual comfort of the horses feels distant today. His jacket hangs on a chair, untouched from yesterday, and the smell of hay and morning dew can't shake the weight on his shoulders. These small details of everyday life, once soothing, now only remind him of nights filled with unrest. The nightmares that keep him awake have roots in memories he can't fully understand or explain. Every night, they creep in like shadows at the edges of his mind, turning familiar places into scenes of unease. Even though the ranch seems peaceful from the outside, Ty feels trapped. The wide-open fields that usually give him freedom now feel like walls closing in. He walks past Amy's kitchen, where the kettle whistles and breakfast waits, but he doesn't reach for it. The voices of his friends and family echo in his mind, distant and unclear. Something about the way the morning light hits the walls reminds him of the nightmares. He can see himself running in a dark field, shadows chasing him, and it all feels so real he can almost hear the pounding of his own heartbeat. Nightmares like these leave traces even in daylight. Ty's hands shake slightly as he reins the horses, gripping tighter than he used to. The stable smells sawdust, leather, and hay used to be grounding, but now they are triggers, reminders of nights where fear had no escape. He tries to focus on the work, on the routine that has always kept him steady, but fragments of his dreams linger. In every empty stall, every silent path through the trees, he sees hints of those memories. His journal lies open on the table, a place where he tried to write down his thoughts. But even the act of writing feels hollow, unable to capture the storm inside his head. Even the people around him notice the change. Amy walks past, humming softly, but Ty doesn't respond like he usually would. Lou waves, calls out, but he only nods faintly, lost in his own mind. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that the nightmares have followed him from sleep into waking life, shadowing every action. Even when he smiles, there's a flicker of something darker in his eyes, a tension that no one can reach with words alone. Ty feels alone in a crowd, surrounded by warmth but trapped inside a storm that never ends. Every creak of a door, every gust of wind, every shadow across the room reminds him that sleep will not bring relief tonight. And tomorrow might be no different, the moment night falls. Heartland's quiet fields seem to hold their breath, as if sensing the storm inside Ty's mind. The barn lights flicker, shadows stretching long across the floor, and even the familiar sound of the wind through the trees feels sharper, heavier. Ty lies down, but rest doesn't come. His eyelids are heavy, yet images rush behind his closed eyes, vivid and relentless. In his mind, he's back on paths he can't escape, dark trails through the woods, abandoned stables, and the endless echo of horses' hooves he can't control. Each step in the nightmare feels real, as if the ground beneath him is alive, shifting with every fearful heartbeat. The dreams don't speak, they scream in images. A fence collapsing, a horse bolting into the night, shadows flickering in corners that shouldn't even exist. Ty can't call out. His voice is trapped in his throat. The fear isn't just from danger, it's the sense of helplessness, a feeling that the past is circling him, waiting to catch him off guard. Every sound in the night, the creak of a door, the rustle of hay, the distant neigh of a horse becomes a signal that the nightmare isn't over. It's a haunting loop, dragging him further into fear with every second. Even faceless, the intensity of Ty's experience can be felt. The camera can drift past his empty bed, focus on the trembling hands that clutch the sheets, linger on the rain tapping against the window. Outside, the fields are calm under the moonlight, but inside, his mind is a storm. The nightmares are not random. They replay fragments of regrets, mistakes, and fears he hasn't faced. A sudden flash, a shadowy figure running across the barn. A faint whisper he can't catch makes him flinch. Even when his eyes are open, the line between dream and reality blurs, leaving him disoriented and wary. By the middle of the night, the exhaustion takes its toll. Ty's chest heaves, sweat glistening on his forehead, and yet sleep refuses to bring relief. Each nightmare is unique but equally haunting. Some chase him, some trap him, and others force him to relive moments of pain he thought he had buried. His mind spins in endless circles, and the ranch he loves, the people who care for him, even the horses he adores, they all feel distant, unreachable, like a world outside the one he's trapped in. And when morning comes, there's no sense of victory, only the lingering dread that tonight the nightmares will return, perhaps stronger, perhaps even more relentless than before. Daylight does nothing to wash away the shadows Ty carries. Even as the sun rises over Heartland, the nightmares linger like fog that refuses to lift. He moves through his morning routine almost mechanically, the coffee untouched, the stable doors closing behind him, each step echoing emptily in the silence of the ranch. Every object in his path feels heavier than it should. The worn leather of the saddles, the familiar smell of hay, the soft clatter of the horses' hooves. The world looks the same, but for Ty, nothing feels safe anymore. The nightmares aren't just in his sleep, they bleed into every moment, turning ordinary scenes into reminders of fear, loss, and unresolved pain. Even when Ty is with others, there's a distance they can't reach. Faceless shots capture his isolation, a hand gripping a railing, shadows stretching across an empty breakfast table, a lone jacket draped over a chair as if waiting for him to vanish. Amy's laughter in the next room, the sound of Lou calling for him, these once comforting noises now feel like echoes from another life. His mind drifts back to the night before, the adrenaline still racing, the panic from the dreams replaying in fragments. Each memory of the nightmare weakens his focus, makes simple tasks feel impossible. The ranch that once brought him peace now feels like a cage, a place where every corner might hide shadows of the past. The emotional toll is visible in small ways. His hands tremble when adjusting the horse's reins. His journal sits open but unwritten, the pen idle as if frozen by fear. Even the smallest decisions become battles, deciding which task to do first, how to respond to a question, whether to step outside or stay in the quiet of his room. Every glance at the fields or the barn reminds him of moments he can't undo, moments that creep into his waking life as if mocking him. The nightmares have become more than dreams, they are shaping his thoughts, his mood, and even the way he interacts with the people he loves. The isolation grows heavier with every passing hour. Ty walks through familiar spaces, the barn aisle, the riding ring, the tree-lined paths, yet he feels invisible, even to himself. Faceless visuals can capture this perfectly. Shadows stretching long across empty stables, an untouched breakfast plate, sunlight filtering through leaves but failing to brighten his world. The audience senses his struggle not through words, but through atmosphere and subtle motion, the tension in his shoulders, the quick breaths that escape him, the faint tremor in his hands. Ty's emotional battle is no longer hidden in dreams. It's a storm that follows him into the daylight. A silent battle he fights every single moment, leaving him exhausted, weary, and more alone than ever. Even in the brightness of the afternoon, Ty's world feels dim. His struggles are no longer contained within the walls of his own mind. They ripple outward, touching those who care for him most. Shadows linger longer than they should as he walks past Amy in the kitchen. Faceless shots capture her reaching out, a hand hovering near his shoulder. A note left on the counter, but Ty flinches almost imperceptibly. Lou's voice calls from the barn, gentle yet filled with concern, but it barely breaks through the fog of his thoughts. Those closest to him sense the tension, the change, but they can't touch the turmoil that twists within him. The tension rises not in words, but in small, telling moments. A cup shakes slightly in Amy's hand as she watches Ty move through the kitchen, not eating, barely speaking. A shadow of worry crosses Lou's face as he folds a jacket, glancing toward Ty as if expecting him to crumble. Faceless visuals, hands brushing against one another but not connecting, papers left untouched on a table, A horse stamping nervously in the stall paint a picture of unease and worry. The audience feels the concern without seeing it directly. It's in the space between actions, in the silence heavier than any conversation. Night falls again, and the ranch seems to hold its breath. Ty's restlessness grows, and the nightmares that plagued him at night begin to seep into the moments he shares with others. Faceless shots show him pacing the room, gripping the back of a chair, staring out windows as if searching for an escape he cannot find. Outside, wind rattles the barn doors. Inside, shadows of Ty's fears stretch long across the walls. Every movement, every sigh, every hesitant glance toward a loved one becomes a signal that something is wrong. That these nightmares are no longer confined to the dark, they are intruding on his waking life. By the end of this section, the tension is nearly unbearable. Ty's friends and family are close, but they are on the edge of helplessness, unable to reach him fully. Faceless visuals convey urgency. Amy's hand resting on a railing as if ready to grab him, Lou pausing mid-step as if waiting for a signal, the horses shifting nervously, sensing the unease. Ty's internal storm rage is stronger than ever, and the audience is left on edge, feeling the relentless pull of the nightmares. There is no relief, only anticipation. The question hangs in the air: can Ty confront these haunting fears, or will the shadows of his past finally consume him completely? The night deepens, and Heartland falls into an eerie silence, broken only by the whisper of wind through the trees. Ty stands at the edge of the riding ring, shadows stretching across the ground like fingers reaching for him. Every step feels heavier than the last, every breath tighter, as if the nightmares are no longer confined to sleep but are stalking him in the daylight. Faceless shots linger on trembling hands gripping the fence, a horse pawing at the ground nervously, the flicker of moonlight through the barn windows. The tension is almost unbearable. The audience can feel the weight pressing in from every angle. Suddenly, a movement in the darkness startles him. The wind rattles a loose barn door, a shadow shifts where there should be none, and the memory of his nightmare flashes through his mind. Ty's chest tightens. His heart pounds in the silence. It's a terrifying reminder that the past never truly leaves. Even surrounded by the calm beauty of Heartland, the shadows of his fears creep closer, relentless and unforgiving. Faceless visuals intensify the suspense. Empty stalls, a loose rope swinging, a distant tree branch casting a shadow that looks like it's moving on its own. The atmosphere feels alive, like the ranch itself is holding its breath along with Ty. The audience is left hanging on his uncertainty. Will he confront the fear that chases him, or will it finally overtake him? Every sound, every movement, every shadow hints that the nightmares are not done, that Ty's battle has only just begun. The suspense is palpable, leaving viewers holding their breath for what comes next. Music swells, a mix of tension and unresolved dread, emphasizing that the story is far from over. Ty's struggle is now bigger than him. It's a test of courage, resilience, and the bonds that keep him anchored to the people and life he loves. The screen fades to black, leaving only the words on screen. Can Ty escape the nightmares that won't let go? Watch Heartland S19 episode 79 to find out. Faceless yet powerful, the call to action lingers in the viewer's mind, compelling them to dive into the full story. Shadows fade, but the questions remain. Will the ranch survive Ty's inner storm? Can those who care for him reach him in time? The suspense is unbroken, a perfect setup for the next chapter of Heartland's gripping drama. The ranch is quiet now, but the silence is heavy, almost suffocating. Ty sits alone near the barn, hands clasped tightly, shadows stretching across the ground as if reaching for him. The night feels alive, moving with his fears. Every creak of wood, every distant rustle of leaves, every soft neigh of a horse seems magnified, echoing inside him. Faceless visuals show close-ups of trembling hands, loose reins swaying, and the faint moonlight illuminating an empty stall. The audience can feel the weight of his solitude and the lingering grip of his nightmares without seeing his face. Ty's mind races, replaying fragments of dreams that refuse to end. Dark paths, shadowy figures, fleeting flashes of past regrets, each one demanding attention. demanding acknowledgement. Even familiar spaces like the stable or riding ring feel foreign, distorted by the remnants of fear and anxiety. Faceless camera angles capture the tension perfectly. Shadows stretching unnaturally, a door slightly ajar, wind catching the curtains like restless hands. Every detail whispers that the nightmares are still here, unyielding, pressing closer with each passing second. Then comes the pause, the moment when the audience holds its breath. Ty rises slowly, as if summoning courage from somewhere deep inside. The wind gusts, rattling the barn doors, and for a split second, it seems as though the darkness might retreat. But then a shadow moves where it shouldn't. A faint whisper echoes across the empty field, and the dread returns, stronger than before. The nightmares haven't left. They are patient, waiting, always circling. Faceless visuals enhance the tension. A swinging lantern, a shadow gliding across the floor, the quiet sway of an empty horse stall. It's clear Ty's battle is far from over. The screen fades to black, leaving only text. Will Ty conquer the shadows that haunt him? Heartland S19 Episode 79 reveals the truth. The music swells with suspense, a mix of hope and fear, leaving viewers on edge, hearts racing, desperate to see what comes next. The cliffhanger lands hard, emotional, and cinematic, pulling the audience deeper into Ty's story and making it impossible to look away. Faceless yet gripping, this ending ensures that the tension, emotion, and anticipation linger long after the video ends, perfectly setting up the next episode. The night lingers over Heartland, but the feeling of unease refuses to fade. Ty's journey is far from over, and the nightmares that haunt him continue to echo through the empty halls and silent stables. Faceless visuals focus on lingering details, a swinging lantern casting shifting shadows, the slow sway of a horse in the barn, a jacket draped over a chair that seems untouched for days. Each element tells a story of tension, fear, and the emotional weight Ty carries. The audience feels the storm inside him without ever seeing his face. Text overlays can highlight key questions to draw viewers deeper. Can Ty finally face his fears? Will the nightmares take control? What secrets will Heartland S19 Episode 79 reveal? These questions, combined with subtle sound effects, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a horse, a soft, tense piano note, create a lingering sense of suspense and anticipation. Music should build gradually, heightening the emotional resonance and leaving viewers on the edge of their seats. The outro shifts slightly to offer hope while keeping tension alive. Faceless visuals show a hand resting gently on a railing, the soft glow of moonlight across a stable door, a horse quietly nuzzling its stall. Even amidst darkness and fear, the message is clear. Ty's journey is ongoing, and the bonds he shares with family and friends could be the key to overcoming the shadows. But the unanswered questions, the flickering shadows, and the persistent nightmares make it clear this story is far from finished. Finally, the video ends with a strong call to action, encouraging engagement. Text appears on screen. Watch Heartland S19 Episode 79 to see Ty face the nightmares that won't let go. Fade out with the Heartland logo, leaving viewers with lingering suspense and curiosity. The combination of faceless visuals, emotional music, and strategic text ensures that the audience feels Ty's struggle, remains invested in the story, and is compelled to watch the full episode to uncover the next chapter of his journey.